Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you your Rangers news every single day, and we don't even charge you for that. It's free. Right, we're going to talk, obviously, about what is going on at Rangers. We're going to do our best to try and get our heads around. We're going to look at what some of the top Rangers podcasts have had to say about this result and this current run of form that Rangers are in. We're going to talk a little bit, obviously, about Rangers away form and what a disaster that is this season. We're going to talk about perhaps, what we do to move forward from this disaster, where we're at. Obviously the ball is very firmly in Fraser Thornton and Patrick Stewart's court right now, that they have decisions to make. And for me, I've got to say the decision is plain and it is simple to see. There is something fundamentally wrong at Rangers at this moment in time. The club is going nowhere fast. There is a huge issue within the playing squad. There is a huge issue with the manager. There is a huge issue with the whole club. Fundamentally, to quote Hamlet, something is rotten in the state of Denmark, except it's not Denmark. It is the state of Rangers. And we need to sort it out. It needs to be, put right. And I think, one, we have some good players. Two, we have some bad players. And I think, we have suffered over the years from some pretty appalling recruitment policies and some pretty appalling decisions made at board level and at sporting director level. And I think, we're going to look obviously at the signings as well. We'll look at that in the next video. But let's try and put a bit of perspective. Jesus, it's been a long day. Perspective. I recorded this on the night before. That's why it's been a long day, guys. Just before you think, but it's 6 o'clock in the morning. How can it have been a long day? Anyway, let's start off with what some of the top respected Rangers podcasts have been saying about this performance. This is what CJ Novo, Heart and Hand, Club at 22. I've got to say 3 of my most favourite podcasts out there. I've got to say Club at 22, Scott, Ali, listened to their reaction last night. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Scott and Ali. Fantastic job from you guys as always. Watch David Edgar's reaction. I always watch David Edgar's reaction. David is a top guy, and CJ Novo, I just wish one day to be like CJ. Anyway, CJ, I love this quote from CJ. I just wanted to share this with you. Whatever PE teacher at the club said that Igman isn't fit enough and Dessers should be fired tonight. Brilliant from CJ, that is. And look, I think the whole sports science stuff is just ridiculous. I think sports science has far too much power at Rangers. I think sports science picks the team. Well, I think sports science tells Phillipe Clement which players he can and can't use. And I think he gives far too much power to sports science. And at the risk of sounding like a dinosaur, I think we need to move away from that for the sports science having any power at Rangers, because I don't think it works. And I just want to respond, to something I read on Twitter last night. I don't want to name the person who wrote it because I have zero respect for them. They wrote that basically the dinosaurs are out in Scotland decrying sports science. I've got to say that that's utter pish. You look at, let's say, Liverpool and Arsenal down south, and you look at the starting lineups, for example, used by their teams in recent games, and there's been absolutely minimal changes. A couple of changes, certainly not 7 changes, but a couple of changes made, but not a vast amount of changes made by Arne Slot and Mikel Arteta. 2 far more successful managers, 2 far more successful coaches, 2 far more knowledgeable coaches, 2 top level coaches over the Belgian Inspector Clueless that we have in charge of our club. And I would say that the sports science, and I would say that those people have far more knowledge than this person writing on Twitter, who needs to stick to the green and white side of Edinburgh. Anyway, Heart and Hand said, well done to our decent players, Igman and Cheney, for getting us a point on their own. The goalkeeper and back 4 should give them their wage after that. We're going nowhere under Clement. He needs to go. Feels like it's just delaying the inevitable. I've got to say, I do agree. Cheney and Igman allegedly not fit enough to start the game. Can't, because sports science is telling Phillipe Clement they're too tired to play. Absolute bollocks. Let's face it. Igman is a 21-year-old kid. Too tired. I kind of remember being 21. I don't remember being really tired. And Cheney, I mean, like I said, did he look tired? Did he look fatigued? Did he look like he couldn't run when he came on? I mean, it really does make Clement look like an absolute fool with that comment that he made at the start of the pre with his pre-match comments. And as for Heart and Hand, I mean, Heart and Hand is for me the most respected. It is, the Rangers podcast. It is the Rangers Insider. It is the classic, in the know with the club. Now, when someone like David Edgar, who is in with the club, is saying that the manager needs to go and it's delaying the inevitable, then you know what, that manager is pretty much done and dusted, isn't he? He's finished on that level. Club at 22, like I said, I love Club at 22. Club at 20, I've got to say, Club at 22 is the best Rangers podcast. Better than mine by a mile. So we've got Motherwell 2, Rangers 2. Cheney and Igaman, the brightest in the game. Matondo and Danilo had poor efforts, but again, too little too late. Clement should be sacked tonight. Our away form is horrendous, and he isn't playing the best 11. It is time for change again, unfortunately. I've got to say, wholeheartedly agree with whoever, I think it's Scott that's written that, or Ali that wrote that, or whoever wrote that. Fundamentally agree. Cheney and Enigman, when they came on, made a massive difference and didn't look tired. Matondo was very poor. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was awful. And Clement should be sacked tonight. I mean, obviously last night, but he wasn't. He definitely wasn't. And our away form is absolutely horrendous, and I'll share that with you in a minute, how bad it is. So wait for that. You'll get a shock. And he isn't playing the best 11. I mean, this constant tinkering and tweaking is just a joke. I mean, it really just genuinely is a joke. I mean, there's certain players you do not rotate. You do not do. I mean, let's take, for example, again, Liverpool and Arsenal. Yes, I know they're far better teams than us at the moment, but Liverpool, every single game, play Virgil van Dijk, who is 30-odd years old. They play Mo Salah, who is 30-odd years old. They play virtually every single game. Okay, Andy Robertson, over 30, left back, plays virtually every single game. Alexis McAllister, Curtis Jones play virtually every single game. So you look at Arsenal, you look at their team. Odegaard, Saliba, Gabriel play virtually every single game. Saka, when he wasn't injured, played virtually every single game. So I don't get this shit that Clement comes out with about we need to rotate, they are too tired, blah, 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 blah. Shut up, mate. Seriously. The sports scientists are going to get you sacked. You need to wake up and smell the coffee, because whatever you're on at the moment ain't working, pal. It ain't working, and I fully agree with what they've got to say. Rangers Rabble. Again, Martin, Rangers Rabble, brilliant. I'd love to work with Martin. I haven't had it. I'm still waiting on my invite, Martin. Absolute nonsense. Is it correct to start with players with 0 minutes in God knows how long? Is it correct your best players can't play the first half but are okay for the second? If you think Clement is rotating correctly, you are in the minority. That was in response to that person who wrote the most utterly ridiculous comment I've ever seen on Sports Science, and basically trying to decry anyone who has a different opinion to them. Gotta say, it is absolute nonsense. It is just ridiculous. The rotation doesn't work. And to say you can't start Cheney and Igman, but you can bring them on to play a whole second half, really does make you look incredibly stupid. Is Clement rotating correctly? Of course he isn't. Of course he isn't. And, should he be rotating his best players out of the team? No, he shouldn't. Like I said, look at Mikel Arteta, Odegaard, Saliba, Gabriel. Saka, when he was fit, played every single minute of every single game. Virtually, they got substituted for a little bit, taken off a little bit. Salah, Van Dijk, playing every single minute of every single game. These are guys, some of these guys that are over 30 years old and they're still playing. Again, if you think you know better than Arne Slot and Mikel Arteta, fair play to you. I mean, fair play to you. That person who wrote that comment. But yeah, Rangers Rabble, love it, spot on. And I think, they're very much for the same opinion. I think without actually physically writing it on X, it's time for him to go. And it is time for him to go. I look, if you aren't there yet, if you aren't there with the whole Clement must go, sort of crowd that a lot of us are in now, I admire your optimism. I genuinely do. But, This isn't a knee-jerk reaction based on the results of, the defeat to St Mirren and this shit performance against Motherwell. It's based on what I've seen for the last sort of 6 months with this team that, it's as I said on the podcast last night, if I could see evidence of progression, evidence of a style, evidence of patterns of play, and evidence of the team improving and improving constantly and not playing shit, playing a couple of games well, then playing shit again, then, genuinely looking like Aberdeen or looking like, Espanyol, then fair enough. But that's all I see. I don't see a team with a style. I don't see patterns of attacking play. And I see a team that regresses, gets a bit better, then regresses some more. And like I said, if I could see improvement. Now, the one thing that always gets thrown back at me and back at a lot of people is, well, Steven Gerrard was given time. Yeah, but with Gerrard, go back and watch Gerrard at the start with Rangers. You could see that there was a vision. You could see that there was a style. You could see there were patterns of play. You could see what he was trying to achieve, and you could see improvement, slow steps forward. With Clement, there is no improvement. It isn't getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse. And to use his own words to beat him over the head with, we will see a better Rangers in October, November. Well, where? It's December now, and they're still crap. So again, it's utter pish from this man. And what worries me is he appears to have no kind of understanding of this club, and he has no understanding of what is acceptable for this club and what the standards we expect as fans and this club expect in general. Now, Genk, Bruges, Monaco, you go away to a team and you get a draw, it's a decent result because the league is ever infinitely more stronger. You have a situation where, on the whole, I'm saying Belgium, where Genk or Union Saint-Gillois, it's a difficult name to say, Anderlecht, Genk, whoever, will win games, lose games, beat each other, lose to some teams, and there will be a bit of a race. In Scotland, that doesn't happen. It is down to us v them. And the team, you can't afford to lose points to the team that is not them or us. You can't afford to lose points to the likes of Motherwell, St Mirren, Kilmarnock, etc. if you're going to win the league in Scotland. That just doesn't happen. And Clement, to me, doesn't really get it. He doesn't understand it. He keeps blabbering on about project. That doesn't work in this league, and it doesn't work with this club, my friend. And you don't understand, and you don't get it. And also, what you're doing isn't showing what you say you're doing. I mean, this was his quote post-game, which it just beggars belief again. So he was asked about any concerns over his position as Rangers boss, and he said, "No, I'm not concerned about that because I'm only busy with the team." Which, you can understand, a bit of ostrich, head in the sand, don't want to listen. And we knew before the season what a challenging project it would be. Well, that's almost like, he's saying before the season we kind of wrote it off anyway. Nothing was going to happen. It's difficult to speak about that because you will not understand, and people outside may will not understand, but there has been an evolution made. Well, this quite clearly hasn't been an evolution made. There quite clearly hasn't been any improvement. There quite clearly isn't an improvement. There quite clearly isn't an evolution in playing style because the playing style is turgid, it's boring, it's chronic, it's just shit. Not in the last two games, we have hurt ourselves. So the evolution only happens in certain games. It doesn't happen across a season or across a period of games. It happens in a couple of games and then it goes off again. Well, I'm sorry, that's not how an evolution works, Phillipe. But there were good games in the last couple of weeks where the team showed the potential. A draw with Tottenham, a defeat in a cup final, and hammering a shit Kilmarnock team. Yes, that's great potential, mate. That really is great potential. If you genuinely think that's potential, then I'm sorry, you are quite clearly smoking something or taking something, or you're quite clearly drunk or just not with it, or your grasp of English is so shit you don't know how to speak it properly. So we're taking steps, but you cannot speak about that after losing points against St Mirren and against Motherwell. Why can't you? So you can't talk about what you're doing and how you're improving it after losing and drawing. Why not? Is it top secret? Is it on a need-to-know basis? Could you tell us, but then you'd have to kill us? But we hurt ourselves. It's avoidable. Individual mistakes, and in those moments, the opponent kills it off. Yes, but it's not just in those last two games. It's in multiple games. Even in the Celtic game, where you say we played better, it was individual errors and defensive errors that cost us that game. We need to work hard to be more resilient and deter. How many times have we heard this in these defensive actions? That's going to be one part of the game, but of course also with the ball. I mean, that makes fucking no sense whatsoever. But I mean, you read that and you genuinely see a man that quite clearly has zero clue what he is talking about and is desperately grasping at putting out these fancy words to try and, I don't know, deflect from what he's doing. Now, he went on to say, he talked about the fact that the board backs him, that Patrick Stewart backs him, which is worrying. Patrick Stewart honestly thinks that's acceptable, then I'm sorry, then you're really not fit to be CEO of the club. But he talked as well about the fact, do you think another manager would get the team to avoid those defensive mistakes, and those individual errors? Yes, I do, because he would coach the team better, he'd organise the team better, and he'd pick a better starting 11. So yes, I do think another manager would get a better tune out of these players, Phillipe. So that's actually a really stupid question to ask, because it's your fault that the team started so badly because you picked the wrong team. You made too many changes. It's your fault that the defence is so shite because it's your job to train them and organise them. And it's your job to coach them to play with a certain style, a certain way, to defend in a certain way. And you're quite clearly not doing that. So, yeah, it is your fault and you are making it worse. And another manager probably wouldn't do that. I'm being clear here that I tell you something, if you put that team and you gave that team to Derek McInnes, or you gave that team to, someone like Kevin Muscat, or you gave that team to someone like, I'm trying to pick some sensible names here. I mean, you could say you gave that team to Arteta, to Slot, to Klopp, to, Santo, the Forest manager, Emery, the Villa man, whoever. But that's unrealistic. I mean, they're not going to come manage Rangers. But, Muscat, McInnes, Pascal Janssen, Thomas Frank, people like that, you would get a better result because you wouldn't have your defence left in that position, and you wouldn't be leading to your team playing as badly because they would be so much better organised and would have a clearer style, clearer patterns of play, clearer way of playing. The fact they're not is down to you because your job is to coach and organise the team, and I think he really doesn't realise this. He genuinely just, I don't know, he's a bit thick. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there we go. Look, it's not great, is it? It really isn't great at this moment in time. And like I said, I'd love to be sitting here making something more positive and talking more positively about the club in terms of where we're going and what we're going to achieve. But it isn't great. What you're watching on a match day at the moment is poor. And that's down to the manager. Yes, it's down to the players partly, but the players, they're who organises the players, who coaches the players, whose job is it to improve the players? It's the managers, and he isn't doing it. So whilst the players, yes, carry a part of the blame, and the board carries some of the blame, and the actual day-to-day match day stuff, the board, I think, as much as I hate this board, cannot be accused of being at fault for that. It is the coaching, it is the organisation, it is Clement. Now, one of the things that really stands out, and after today really does stand out, is our away form, and it's our away form that is hurting us. Our home form is actually quite good. I think we're actually top of the home form league. But in terms of our away form is absolutely atrocious. I mean, it is genuinely relegation type form. We've played 9 away from home. We've won 3. I mean, I'll get to what that means in a minute. We've lost 4. We've drawn 2. We've got 9 goals. 3 of which were against Ross County, so that would be 6. So without those, 6 in 8 is pretty shit. And we've conceded 10, so we've conceded more than a goal a game. We've taken 11 out of 27 points. Now, for those of you, who are good at maths, you'll see that is a 33% win ratio. Now, I would love someone to explain to me how, on what planet, a Rangers manager having a 33% win ratio is acceptable away from home. Rangers manager with a 33% away win ratio would usually be sacked by now. A Rangers manager who is 14 points behind Celtic, at this stage of the season, not even halfway through yet, is normally sacked. I don't understand how this man still has a job. I mean, this is the form table. This is the table based just on away games. We sit sixth out of 10, sixth. That's where we sit. I mean, that's pretty shit. That's pretty bad. 10 points. 10. 15 behind Celtic in terms of away form. 15. Dundee United, Aberdeen, Motherwell, and even Hibernian have better away form than Rangers. And Motherwell, it's only the goal difference that keeps us above Motherwell. That is pretty bad. Pretty bad. I mean, 10 points. We're closer to St Johnstone. I mean, that is just genuinely awful. And how any manager who puts us sixth in an away form table could still have a job, I don't get. I don't get it. I mean, look, I don't think he's going to, look, I'll be open and honest with you now. I don't think he's going to get the sack. I don't. I think he'll limp on to the end of the season. We'll lose the league by more than 20 points to Celtic. In fact, I think they'll probably win the league by the end of March. And fair play to them. Fair play to them. Look, they're the better team. They are. They're better than us. Because why are they better than us? Because yes, they've got slightly better players than us, but the main reason they're better than us is they've got a manager who knows what he's doing, who knows how to coach a team, who knows how to improve players, who knows how to organise a team, who knows how to put a team out that plays with a style, with a pattern of play, and with an incisive way of playing. And we don't. That's the big difference. Brendan Rodgers is 100 times the coach that Phillipe Clement is. That's the difference. That's the major difference. And yes, they do have a few better players than we do. And I don't want to get into a comparison because I'll just get shot down. But that's why they're better than us, because their manager's better than us, because they're better coached, they're better organised. They have been for the last few seasons. Ange Postecoglou, better coached, better organised than us. Now Brendan Rodgers. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. I mean, they've got a manager as well who has come from coaching in England, who has coached Liverpool, has coached Leicester, has coached Swansea, Wales, not England, get shot for that. Has coached in top flight in England. Has a clue. Has worked with some top players in England. Has worked with the likes of Steven Gerrard, Luis Suarez, for example. So he gets it, I think. And that's what makes him the better coach. It is down to coaching and management at the end of the day. And ours just isn't good enough. And that's the problem we're facing. That is the real problem we're facing. Like I said, I don't think he gets sacked. I don't think he does get sacked. And I think, I'll be quite frank here, I would, I put a poll up on the channel last night, asking the question, does Phillipe Clement deserve to stay or does he deserve to get sacked? At time of recording, it is that currently at the following percentages. So 68% of you say that he should be sacked, 32% of you said he should stay. Now, if you're one of those 32% that are saying that he should stay, please can you tell me why he should stay? I think a lot of them, I think to be honest with you, a lot of it is Celtic fans. I think a lot of it is Celtic fans voting. Of course I do. I think they want him to stay. You can read the comments I get from them on my TikTok and on YouTube that I delete that just are all like, give him a new contract. Please let him stay. Please let Baltimore stay. They're loving it. They're loving it. They want him to stay. Now, if your most deadly rivals are saying, keep your manager, please keep your manager, you can tell what they think of him. And yet some of our fans want him to stay. Fucking clueless. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your views. Let me know your comments. Thanks for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, on the way out, please smash that like. Subscribe, comment, share, do all that fabulous stuff you normally do to help the channel keep on growing. But always, please remember, we are the people.